Okay, so to start, you're going to need to do a magic ring. Start off with a slip knot. Then you're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 into, I'll be doing the chain method, which is this. Okay. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and this chain 2 counts as a stitch. Now I'm going to work a double crochet into the middle of this ring that we just did, and I'm going to work another double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 1 and work 3 double crochets into this whole the ring again. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to chain 1. Okay, so this is the repeat. As you can see, we have 3 clusters, so that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and in between you're going to have a chain. So this first 3 that we have here is one cluster, and this is the second cluster. A cluster is made when you've done 3 double crochets and then a chain. That 3 double crochets that you did into the hole is considered to be a cluster. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work a total of 8 of them, and I'll meet you back once I am done with my 8th cluster. How to do a cluster, once again, is 3 double crochets. So that's 1. I'm just going to tuck that back there. 2, 3. Okay, so this is a full cluster now because I've done 3 double crochets. Now I'm going to chain 1 and then repeat. So I now have a total of 3 clusters in my ring. So you want a total of 8 clusters. Once you're done with your 8 clusters, once I'm done with my 8 clusters, I'll meet you back. Okay, so now I have a total of 8 clusters. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and currently the one with the hook, 8. Now I'm going to chain 1 and go into the top of the chain 2 that we did. Okay, and do a slip stitch. That is row 1 done. For round 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we're going to go into that same space underneath, which is also happens to be the chain 1 space that we just did, and do a double crochet. Now into every chain 1 space we are going to do what I call a corner, but with only 2 double crochets. Okay, so this works in double crochets the whole time, and into that chain once next into the chain one's next chain 1 space, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. This wool is very slippery. Okay, so that's what the corner is going to be. Into the next chain 1 space, which is here, 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. This is the repeat. So into every chain 1 space now, we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. And this is how we're going to work it all the way around, and I'll meet you when I get to the end. Okay, so now I'm at the end here. I currently have my 3 clusters, and I'm now going to go into that very first chain 1 space from the previous round that we started with, and complete my corner, which is 2 double crochets, second double crochet, chain 1, and I currently already have 2 double crochets there, so I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of that very first chain, second chain that we did, to complete my row 2. So that is row 2 completed. Okay, so I forgot to mention that in the first round you're going to have 8 clusters total, and then also for these corner double crochets here as well. For the second round, you're going to also need a total of 8 corners. Now for row 3, you're going to need to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Once again, we're still working in double crochets. We're going to go into that chain 1 space from the previous round that we did, and we're going to do a double crochet and another double crochet. So this time we're going to have 3. We're going back to the 3 double crochets. Okay. Now into the next chain 1 space, you're going to do 3 double crochets. So double crochet cluster of 3. Okay, into the next space, so I do apologize, it's not the space itself. What you want to go into actually is not the gap in between, it's the chain 1 space between the corners. Okay, so I'm still going to repeat what I did. So it's still 3 double crochets into that peak of the corner. Okay, so now into the next one, into this next chain space, we're going to do a corner of 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets. Okay, so that's the corner that we're going to be doing. So it's trying to get in there, chain 1 and 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is the repeat that we're going to be doing. So into the next peak of the previous, into the chain 1 of the previous corner that we did, we're going to do a cluster of 3 double crochets, and into the next one is a corner. So it's 3 double crochets, corner, 3 double crochets, corner, 3 double crochets, corner. Okay, and since we started this one, we're going to end off with a corner here. Okay, so now I'm at the end again, and I'm going to complete this corner that needs to be done here. into the previous chain 2. I'm going to there we go. Double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3, and the same thing, we're going to chain 1 and into the top chain 2 that we did, slip stitch. Okay, as you can see, the shape of a square is starting to come up again, so that's what we want. Now we're going to start row 4. So for row 4, I do apologize for the sound in the background. Hopefully you can't hear it too much. For row 4, you're going to chain 3, okay, and into the chain 1 gap that we did here, there, we're going to continue our corner of 3 double crochets into the next gap this time. So the same way we do a normal basic granny squares, what we're going to do from now on, from row 4 to 7. So 3 double crochets into the gap, into the next gap, 3 double crochets, so that's the next gap. That's 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we have a corner. In a corner, we do a corner, which is 3 double crochets. So I'm gonna do 3 double crochets, second one, chain 1, and 3 double crochets. So that's a corner. Corner is 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 double crochets, all into the chain 1 space from the previous corner space. Okay, as you can see. Now we're going to repeat this all the way around. So into this gap, cluster of 3, into this gap, cluster of 3, corner, corner, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 double crochets into this, and you're going to repeat this. Okay, so I'm not going to do the rest of the rows. Well, I am, but not with you. From row 4, 5, 6, and 7, it's basically following the same thing. So when you see a corner, you're going to do the corner, but then you're going to follow the gaps with 3 double crochet clusters. Okay, so it's basically the same repeat. When you get to the end, finish it off with 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then go into the next row, chain 3, 2 double crochets, and then into the gap, 3 double crochet cluster until you get to a corner, and repeat. Okay, so I'll meet you back when I get to row 7. Why I'm doing a total of 7 rows is because that's the size best suited for my bust size. So yeah, so the amount of rows depends on your bust size and how well you want the diamond to fit around your bust, as I'll show in the final clip. Okay, so I'll meet you back at row 7. Okay, so at the end of row 7, this is what you're going to end up having. Okay, and I took the liberty of tying off my end. You're going to have normally 2 little knobbies. You can just weave that in at your own time. And yeah, this is what the square looks like. To start, you're going to need to do a slip stitch. And with this slip stitch, I'm going to do a magic ring, but with the chain method, hence why we started with the slip stitch. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the very first chain that we did, we're going to slip stitch into that. I got tangled again. Okay, so there it is. Oh, thank goodness. Now we're going to chain 4, so that's 2, 3, 4 again, and we're going to go in the middle of that and do a double crochet. Okay, so now we have this stitch would count as the first chain 4 we did will count as a stitch. So now we have technically 2 double crochets on in our ring. Now we're going to do 2 more double crochets. So 1, 2. Now we have our cluster of 3. Now we're going to chain 1 and do another cluster of 3. So that'll be 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's our second cluster of 3. Now we're going to chain 1 and do just 1 more double crochet. So this is what it would look like once you're done with that first row. For row 2, we're going to chain 4. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, into this chain 1 space that we did here, we're going to do a cluster of 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip this 3 clusters and into the chain 1 space that we did, we're going to do a corner, which is 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now into this end here will be considered a chain 1. We're going to do another cluster of 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to chain 1 and 1 more double crochet. Okay, and this is technically the repeat. So I'm going to go into row 3 now. Row 3 is the repeat. Okay, so chain 4 into that chain 1 space, right underneath 3 clusters of 3 double crochet clusters, into the gap, 3 double crochet cluster, 2, 3, into the corner, which is the peak in this case. You're going to do a corner, which is your normal 3 double crochet, chain 1 and 3 double crochet in the same hole, in the same space. So that's 2 and that is 3. Into the next gap. Please remember, this row is the repeat. So this is 2 and 3. And into that very last chain that we did there is 3 double crochet cluster. Okay, and into the exact same space, chain 1 and into the same space, double crochet. Okay, as you can see, the triangle is already forming, and because we did a total of 7 rows for our square, for this triangle, we're also going to do a total of 7 rows. Okay, sorry. So this is row 1, 2, 3. So we're going to repeat this third row again. So we're going to chain 4 into this whole cluster of 3, into this gap, cluster of 3, into this gap, cluster of 3, corner, cluster of 3, cluster of 3, and into this very last hole here as well, cluster of 3, chain 1 and 1 double crochet. Okay, so that's going to be the repeat going all the way up to row 7, and I'll meet you once I get to row 7. Okay, so once you're done with your 7 rows, as you can count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows, this is what it would look like. I also decided to cut off my end here as well. For your triangle, you want a total of 23 stitches at the top. Okay, so you see these V's, you want to count them and make sure there's a total of 23 of them. So I'm just going to take it from left to right. So from that chain that we did at the corner, this one, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and this very last one here, 23. Okay, and also with your square, there's my front. So you're going to take it from corner to corner. That's how you count it as well with the triangles I just showed. So from, as you can see here, here's the corner triangle stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. This knot here counts as 22, and then the corner 23. Okay, I purposely counted the side with the knot, so you know that the knot part does count as a stitch. Okay, it would be the same all the way around. 23 stitches all together. And your diamond and your square should match when you put them together. Okay, so you really want to make sure you get a total of that 23. Now I'm going to show you an image of what the style of the top is going to be, as I can't film it properly here. So I'm going to show you an image, and then I'm going to show you how to join it. Join the top. Okay, so to start, you're going to need to start off with a magic ring. And for this, I'll be doing the magic chain method. Okay. So I'm going to start off with a slip knot, and this is how I do my slip knot. Then I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the first chain that we did. Okay, Then I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This chain 4 that we just did counts as a stitch. Then I'm going to go in the center of my ring and do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now I'm going to chain 1 and do 1 more double crochet in that same space. Okay, and that finishes off row 1. Apologies. Now I'm going to start off row 2, which is same thing. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and into this gap here is what I'm going to go into. And I'm going to do 3 double crochets in there. So that's 2, and this is my 3rd one. Okay, now I'm going to go into the next one and do 3 double crochets again. Now I'm going to chain 1 and do 1 more double crochet. For row 3, and this is what you're going to repeat all the way going up. As you can see, there's a pattern going on now. So we'll chain 4 and into that gap do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, into this gap here, next gap. So you're going to go into every gap and do 3 double crochets. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, and into this last one here we're going to do 3 double crochets. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to finish off with a chain 1 and 1 last double crochet into that same space. Okay, so that's how you're going to work this triangle. So now you're going to chain 4 and into that gap do 3, into the next gap do 3, into the next gap do 3, into this last gap do 3, chain 1 and 1 more double crochet in there. And you're going to do this for a total of 7 rows. This is currently 3 rows. So you should end up having something similar to this. But before I show you the image, I would like to say that you would need a total of 2 of these squares and 5 of these triangles to complete the upper part of the bust area for the top, and the top will be worked, the squares will be worked in a diamond shape, not the square. And here is what it would look like if, to join the top, or the first part of the top. Okay, so you need a total of 2 of these squares, 3 of these triangles, and 2 of these quarter triangles. Okay, I will be joining it in a zigzag format, which is from here like that, and then down, and then up again, and then down again. So that's how I'll be joining this. Then I'm going to do a single crochet rim trim all the way around, and I'll see how that looks. Well, I'll probably end it there because I want it to be shown this way as much as possible. And then, yeah, I'll be adding onto the sides as well. Okay, so I'll be adding onto the sides here to extend the back because this needs to fit on me. And then I'll be extending this part down a little bit as well. So let's get joining. To join, I'll be starting off with this corner, the right side corner. And also when you put this down, you want to make sure all the front is the front. Okay, so you want to put it facing the front, all of them. Okay, and I'm going to grab at this two, and then I'm going to start at the corner. Going to go in there, right in the corner, into both loops of that corner. I'm going to thread my yarn through and tie off. If you've watched my previous granny square tutorials, it's basically the same thing I'm going to be doing for this join as well. Clearly, I love this join. Okay, now I just did a chain one just to stabilize it. Then I'm going to go into the first loop. This is tinier, so it might get quite difficult to see. And first loop and back loop off the bottom. Okay, now we're going to continue, same thing, front loop and back loop, front loop, back loop, front loop, back loop. Okay, so that's how we're going to continue going all the way down between both, and I'll show you when. So that's what it currently looks like with my little bit there. So I'm going to continue down and I'll show you how to join from the corner going down, and then I'll show you the overall once I'm done with the rest of it. Okay, so I am done with joining this side. Now I'm going to join it to this line. And to do that, I'm going to grab my next square. Oh, before I do that, I just noticed that I haven't actually done the last one. So you see where the chain is? That's what you want to go into, and both of them. Then you're going to go into the top loop off the triangle. Well, top loop of both triangles, because they're both triangles, just one is smaller than the other. And that's how you finish off an end. Now I'm just going to join this to this, and in this space here I'm going to go into both, and in this space I'm going to go into both. This space is the chain space from the square, yeah. and I'm just going to do a normal single crochet, and I'm going to repeat going back all the way down again. So front and back loop, front and back loop, front and back loop, and you're going to continue all the way down. Here is what it looks like so far. As you can see, we've joined that section there. And I am now done with joining. It is a little bit stretched because I put it on. Needed to make sure it does fit, and it does. So now I'm going to be working my single crochets along the edge here. I don't want to cut off my string, my yarn, so I'm just going to work a single crochet all the way down. Okay, and to do that, I will be doing a slight decrease here, and I'll show you where. So at these corners is where I'll be doing my decrease, and I'll show you when I get there. But to start off working your single crochet down here, you're going to chain 2 into this space, 2 single crochets, into the next space, 2 single crochets, and this is basically what you're going to repeat all the way down. As you can see, these huge gaps. You're going to repeat this 2 single crochets in there. It's supposed to be 3. This also counts as a decrease in my opinion. I would have done 3 single crochets instead of 2, but I need to get this bottom part of the bralette smaller. So I'm just going to do 2 single crochets into each space. Okay, and when you get to this space as well, you're still going to do the same thing. 2 single crochets in there and continue down. Okay. I'm going to continue down until I get to this spot, and I'll show you how I do my decrease. Okay, I'm at the end here. And I've done 1 single crochet in there. Now I'm going to do another. Well, I'm going to start it off. I'm not going to finish it off. And then I'm going to move into the next space and combine. Okay, this is going to be what my increase looks like. Actually, I'm thinking of rather doing this. So I'm just going to decrease the 2 here, and I'm going to just do 1 single crochet. So I'm going to start it off into the next one, yarn over, 3 loops on the hook, and pull through all 3. Okay, then I'm going to continue with my 2 single crochet in each. And that's what it looks like so far. So I'm going to continue this way all the way down. So when you get here, you start off your single crochet and decrease into this one. like I showed you just now. And I'll meet you when I get to the end here. And I'm at the end here, and this is what it looks like so far. Okay, so I've reached my corner here, so I'm going to make a corner. I went twice into this very last one here, so now I'm going to go into this space 3 times with single crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that creates a corner here, and the same thing you did with the bottom you're going to do here as well. This is basically the same thing. So 2 single crochets into each space, and when you get to a corner you insert 2 single crochets. I think I'm going to do one more trim around because this is a base trim, so I'm going to do another single crochet trim all the way around, and that's basically what it's going to be. You're going to just go into every stitch once I'm done with this. Okay, the tip here of the quarter triangle is the corner, so I'm just going to put 3 single crochets in there. 2, 3. I'm going to continue. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and I'm just going to continue all the way around. This way, and when I get to this corner I'm going to do my decrease. So every time I get in a dip I'm going to do a decrease. Okay, so in that dip, remember this is a corner, so add 3 single crochets in there. Okay, so when you get to a corner or a peak, well, that's a peak, more like a peak than a corner, so peak or corner, 3 single crochets, a dip, decrease. So go in there into the very last one here, okay, and then attach it to here to do the decrease. Then you're going to do the same thing all the way around, and I'll meet you back where we where did I start? Oh yeah, where we started here. Okay, so now I'm at the end here, and oops, here is what it looks like right now. It is upside down. I do apologize. It will curl up a little bit, but that doesn't matter. I need that tight fit, so yeah, that's what the curling is for. Okay, so now I'm just going to slip stitch at the top here. Actually, I need to, oh, I've already done the 3. Okay, then that's fine. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to slip stitch. Okay, then I'm going to repeat, going single crochets all the way around into every single stitch. Okay, just to get a neater edge. Okay, so I'm just going to do that all the way around. I'm not going to decrease or increase or dip anything or add anything at the top. I'm just going to go into every single stitch. Okay, and I'll meet you back once I'm back. Yeah, and here's what it looks like so far with the second row of single crochets. going to work my way upwards this way. But before I do that, I'm going to slip stitch at the end here, chain 2, actually chain 3, because I'm going to be doing something similar to this pattern here. Okay, now I'm going to go into the next stitch, into the next stitch, okay, skip 1, into the next stitch, into the next stitch, into the next stitch. Okay, if you notice, I am doing a set of 3, skipping 1 and moving on. Okay, so without a chain, by the way. So I'm going to skip 1 into the next stitch, into the next stitch, into the next stitch, and skip 1 and into the last 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the one you started with counts as a cluster. Now you're going to chain 3, turn your work, and into the next stitch there, you're going to do 3 clusters of double crochets. Oh my god, I just noticed I did not say these were double crochets. I'm sorry. Okay. Next whole 3 double crochets, next whole 3 double crochets. So that gap where you created that single skipped the one is what you're going to go into, and into the very last one, last space, okay. I just noticed I made a boo-boo. I am going to correct this and I'll tell you what I did. Okay, so here's the correction. Remember the very first row we did before I went into the second one? We had the 3. Now I'm going to chain 1 and go into the next stitch and do 1 more. Okay, now I'm going to chain 3 and go into the next row. 3 clusters. Okay. This last one doesn't count as a stitch. Just going to go into every gap like we did. Doing 3 clusters. Okay, I'm going to go into the last one, doing 3 clusters as well. Chain 1 and into that same one. Chain 3. Okay, now we're just going to skip this one and go into the next, because this will be my last row as well. Well, my last cluster, double crochet cluster row. Okay, and you see the way we started this end, we're just going to go into that last space, oops, here, and do a double crochet. Okay, so this is what you want. You're going to repeat this on the other side as well. Okay, so I'm going to do that, but before I do that, I need to finish what this should actually look like. So now I'm going to finish off with a single crochet trim. Chain 2, single crochet all the way down, just to make the work neater and more durable. Because if I just left it at the clusters, it might start wobbling over time. We don't want that. No, we do not. Okay. And here's my last stitch into that very top. Okay. Now I'm done. I'm going to tie off my end and repeat on the opposite side as well. And once you're done with that, I'm going to now make the chains, which is a rope, to interlace at the back. And I'm going to work on the sleeves. Yeah, well, I will call it a sleeve, but it's just a rope that goes up from these areas here. Here's what it's looking like so far. Okay. Quite wobbly at the end. That's okay. Okay, so now we've done, basically almost done with the bralette. All we have left now is here. So what I'm going to do is, you see the peak? There's an actual peak on this. Okay, here's the peak right there. We're going to insert our hook in there. And then we are going to chain 1. We're going to chain 80. Okay, because I just wanted to tie around my neck, and then I'll make a special lace to wrap around the back. Okay, so I'm just going to chain 80. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 79, 80. Okay, so that's what 80 strands look like on this wool. Okay, now I'm just going to do one more just to tie off. Oh wait, I just remembered. No tying off. Actually, yes, I am going to do one more. So it's 80 plus 1, which is 81. Then I'm going to go into back down into every stitch, okay, doing a single crochet, because I want quite a thick rope around my neck area. Okay, so you're just going to go back down every single stitch doing single crochet. Okay, so I am done with doing single crochet on all the chains. Now I'm going to attach it to the bottom, and to do that I'm going to start off a single crochet into the bottom where we started from again, and into the next stitch, finish off. So it's like you're doing a decrease. Okay, then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Then I'm going to tie off. Kind of flattens out as you go. And I'm going to repeat this on the other side, just not now. I'm going to now do the lace, which is just basically chains, and I'm going to chain 20. Oh, so 20. You're right. 120. Okay. And what I mean by lace is at the back. I'm just going to do this. Okay. So here's the bralette. I'm going to weave in my ends as well when I'm ready to show you what the final look looks like. Okay, so this is what the back would look like. Okay, so the lace is going to intertwine between this to hold at the back. Okay, so yeah. And for this lace, you're going to need to chain 120, like I said. And to chain your 120, you need to start off with a slip knot. That's how I do my slip knot. Okay, and then I'm going to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, so I ended up doing actually 220 chains. I underestimated the size of the wool itself. I do apologize. So I did 220. If you're using a normal acrylic wool, 120 would do. Okay, because the chains will be larger. So now I'm going to lace this up. Go in there, go in here. Okay, then I'm going to match them so I don't have one end longer than the other. By the way, you can make these chains as long as you want. It just needs to fit around your back. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. Let's lace. I'm not going to make it too tight. So you just literally want to, like, you know, the way you would do a shoelace. That's what you want to do here as well. And I'm going into these gaps. Oops, one gap. Made from my granny square stitch. I do advise that you weave in your ends before you do this. Okay, and into this last one. Okay, and that's the lace. You can just, for aesthetic purposes now, I'm going to tie it off. But also what I like to do with my ends here like this, I like to make a knot. So over time it doesn't loosen up at the end, you know. So it doesn't matter if it doesn't go all the way to the top. It can even end somewhere like there. Just try get it close enough. And then you can cut off. There. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Then I'm going to weave in all my ends and I'll show you what the final product looks like on my mannequin. Okay, so that's the back. I'm now going to do what I just said I'm going to do. Okay, this is what the front currently looks like. Okay, and if you wish, you can actually just add on to this as well. I think eventually I am going to add on to it, and you would add on to it the same way. You would just start from here, going all the way around, doing any kind of stitch you want to do. But I kind of like the way it's looking now, so I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'll see what happens in the future. But for now, I'm going to also finish that end there, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on my mannequin. Okay, so this is what it looks like once done. I will be adding an inner lining at the bust area. Obviously, don't want my boobies to be showing. And what it looks like at the back. Yeah. So once you're done, this is what it should look like. You can always add at the bottom here if you wish. You can always add where you need to, but yeah, that's what it's going to look like. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay well.